Tara, for the response. And thank you, Shloka, for the response from the other division. Okay. So long back, I mean, I think before 1 week, we stopped discussing about the object-oriented characteristics. I don't know how many few people have joined in that particular lecture. Many students were not there in particular lecture because of their exams and all that stuff. I think now everything is done and dusted, right? Semester one exams are done, semester two exams are done. Now purely you should be learning semester three, nothing other than that. But yes, certain aspects that are required to be cleared, which you have not done in your semester two, that are required to be cleared now, right? So we started with a healthy discussion, differentiating the parameters about the object-oriented programming and procedure-oriented programming. Can anyone tell me which programming we are going to learn? We are going to learn object-oriented programming or procedure-oriented? Definitely, good. We are going to learn object-oriented programming. And for that, we will be actually using the support of C++. Okay, so try to understand. Don't tell that we are learning C++. We are not learning C++. We are basically clearing the basics of object-oriented programming. And the beginning starts with always C++, because the best language to study object-oriented paradigms is C++. And it is one of the easiest way to learn. So once this thing is clear to you all, then Java will be easy, .NET will be easy, Python will be easy, Perl will be easy, PHP will be easy, because all are object oriented. Right. The same concept will go on continue with certain add-ons to it. And apart from that, what will happen is that there will be a change in the syntax, nothing more than that. So I insist you, everyone, okay, now I don't think there will be any stoppages in between. Okay, hardly one or two, what you can say, short holidays will be there. Other than that, we'll be continuing with our sessions regularly. So one thing you need to remember in this particular subject, understanding the subject only theoretically is not going to work. Okay, there are lot many things to do in practical. So the first task that you need to do once you have completed all these sessions today is to go to the university website and download the syllabi of semester 3, the updated one. Okay, the latest one. It will be mentioned, the year will be mentioned. Okay, revised and all that stuff. Okay, so download the syllabus, and after downloading the syllabus, just go through the syllabus of the object-oriented programming as well as the practical syllabus of it. There will be certain programs. Okay, today I will show you how certain programs are required to be built using C++, okay, or using the object-oriented programming, right? Okay, and yes, I think in procedure-oriented programming, I think in C, you have already used code blocks. You have used code blocks or anything else you have used? क्या यूज किया है सी कंपाइल करके एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए? You use code blocks, turbo, or anything else? Code blocks, right? Yes, you use code blocks. So here also, okay, thank you. Thank you, Aman. Thank you, Meek. Okay, yes. So you have used code blocks. So here also we are going to use the same one, code blocks. It is one of the efficient ID for executing the C++ program, or I would say object-oriented programming. Okay, basically wait for C++. Now, if at all you are using Turbo, then the syntax will be a little bit different in the top. If you are using Borland C++, I mean a Borland compiler, again, then again the syntax will be a little bit different. But I would suggest you to go ahead with code blocks, as it will give you all the libraries that are being required. Because in Turbo C++ or in Borland C++, in certain memory management programs, okay, you won't be able to execute those programs. But yes, in code blocks, all those things are possible. And if you search the top 10 integrated development platforms for developing C++ programs, you will get code blocks at first. That's the reason we have given this as a preference. Okay. Now, how many are facing any problem after installation of the code blocks? You are not able to execute the program. Has anyone faced this kind of problem? After installation of the code blocks, you are not able to execute the programs. Has anyone got any kind of such kind of problems? मिला है किसी को ऐसा problem? Nobody has got such kind of problem? No one? Everyone is able to execute the programs, all the programs. Okay, see, what happens is that many times that whenever you download code blocks, it does not comes with the compiler. Okay, you need to select the compiler, and there are certain code blocks available which comes with the compiler. Okay, so what I'll do is that I will just share a link with you guys. You can just copy paste and keep the link. Now, using this particular link, you will get a particular what you can say setup with the compiler. Okay, with the compiler. Let me just share the screen. Okay, just don't randomly download it from any random site because code blocks can be downloaded securely only from two particular websites. Is the this one. Okay, this FOSS Hub. Okay, but because the moment you visit the website of code blocks, I hope my screen is visible to you guys. Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very good. Great. Thank you for the response again. Okay, so you can see, you'll get all these things the moment you visit the website of code blocks. You will get the binary releases. You can download it from two sites. One is FOSS Hub and another is SourceForge.net. Okay, I would recommend go with the FOSS Hub because I have seen the traffic on the FOSS Hub is comparatively less with the SourceForge.net. Okay, and it has some advertisements. Let us go downside. Yes, the first link. You should go ahead with the first link. Code blocks Windows 64-bit, including compiler. Including compiler. Make it sure that you are installing including compiler. Okay. Those who are not installing including compiler, they might need to download the compiler differently, and they need to set the path, and such things are required to be done. So better is that you download the code blocks, including the compiler. Is that clear? Right? Apart from that, how many of you know what do you mean by this portable zip? Does anyone knows what do you mean by this portable zip? Why are the portable files? Many times when we download certain setup, we have two different types of setup. One is the executable ones, another is the portable ones. What is portable? Does anyone has any idea about the portable setup? Nobody has any idea about the portable setup? Let's close this. Nobody? Nobody has idea? Okay, now let me explain you what do you mean by a portable setup. A portable setup is a setup of a particular software which does not require setup. We know whenever we are installing any particular software, we need to follow that installation steps. We need to follow the wizard. Okay, you need to specify the location. You need to specify you need to follow the installation steps. Next, I accept, and finish. Okay, you need to follow those steps. So it is installed in your hard drive at a particular location where all the operating system files are there. Program files, basically, if you consider Windows, it is program files. Okay, but yes, the portable setup are never installed. They are ready to go binary. You can just double click on it and it is ready to go. It is not installed. Okay, now why such kind of setups are being used? These kind of setups are generally being used by the people who just want to experiment certain programs and they don't want to install it. So why to waste the memory? Getting an idea? So if you want to test certain softwares, if the portable version of those softwares is available, it is better to go ahead with such kind of stuff rather than installing the whole software. Okay, so that is a portable version. Now, in the last lecture, yes, we have discussed between the difference between the C and C++. Okay, object-oriented, procedure-oriented. C is object-oriented, C++ is, sorry, C is procedure-oriented and C++ is object-oriented. Generally, focusing on the execution point of view, C supports only early binding, means at the time when you compile the program, each and every amount of resource you need to specify in the beginning itself. Randomly, you cannot specify at the runtime. Okay, so late binding is not possible. Here, dynamic binding as well as late binding, both are possible. Okay, then yes, default arguments that we will be learning. Okay, certain everyone knows that we can pass arguments in the function. Okay, we can define a function and we can pass arguments to it. But even if we don't pass any argument, then some default argument has to be considered. Okay, so let us begin with little bit of programming today. Okay, so let us begin with a little bit of programming today. Yes, I do have the code blocks. I'll be using 20.03. Okay, not necessary that you should be also using the same version. It may be possible that you are using different operating system and it may not support. Okay, I'm using Windows 8.1, and in that, yes, 64-bit. In that, the code blocks 20.03, which I have shown now. I've downloaded from this particular link, but make it sure it contains the compiler. That is a compulsion. Right. Okay. So let us create a new file and start a little bit of programming today. Little bit hands-on on the object-oriented programming. So I would take an empty file. Let me just take up an empty file. Okay. After taking an empty file, I'll just save it to a particular location. Let it be desktop. Okay. Let it be desktop. And the extension that I give is CPP. Okay. C++. Is that correct? Okay. Make it sure the extension should be CPP. Save. Okay. How many of you remember I have said you that one of the header files that we will be using in order to do input-output operations? What is the header file that we will be using in C++ in order to implement input-output operations?
IOStream.
IOStream. Yes. Good. So we will shift to code blocks again, and yes, hash include. See, it is giving the IntelliSense. Okay, I would say IntelliSense. It senses what you are trying to write. Okay, IOStream. Okay, yes, IOStream. Then you need to write down this particular statement using the standard namespace. Now, whenever you are using the standard namespace, you can see it actually includes headers, file names, input output, file number, standard output, and so on. All these libraries will be included if you're writing simply std. Okay, now, if you remember, what is the basic concept of object-oriented programming? We are creating different classes. Okay, class is basically a structure which contains data members. Data members means, can anyone tell me what do you mean by data members? Data members? No. Yes, variables. Aman, you are correct. Yes, data members simply means the variables and methods. What do you mean by method? Can anyone tell me method? Method किसको बोलेंगे?
Method is a function.
Yes, the function that we declare inside the class becomes a method. Without a class, a function is a function, and a function defined inside the class becomes a method. So make it sure, what will be the definition of a class? A class is a collection of data members and member functions, or data members or methods which are interrelated to each other, which are having some sense of correlation. Okay, so for an example, let us define a class. To define a class, I have the keyword over here, class. Okay, and I am considering a student class. Is that clear? Okay, I am considering a student class. Yes.
Are using namespace નો શું મતલબ?
Yes, using namespace નો શું મતલબ છે? See, try to understand. Namespace આ શેના માટે છે? It is particularly for the use of standard input output. Now you might have a question. Yes, sir, we are already writing the header file over here. Okay, we are writing the header file over here, but you have seen a little bit difference. We are not writing .h. Okay, we are not writing .h. Instead of that, we are simply specifying hash include IOStream. Okay, the whole input output stream, we are using it. From that, specifically, I will be using the standard input output. Okay, STD. It is standard input output domains. Is that clear? Now this becomes a must. If you don't write this, there is another option that will be looking into details of it. So another thing, if you see curly bracket, have you seen the moment I have implemented curly bracket, the starting of the curly bracket, it takes a scope. curly bracket start, curly bracket close, and here is a semicolon. This means that the class is started over here and is ended over here. A class is always ended by a semicolon. Must. Okay. Then we have the main method. Okay. Brackets. See, the moment I have inserted curly brackets over here, okay, it has not inserted a semicolon at the end because this is a main function. This is a main function, I would say. Okay. And your program actually starts from the main function. Okay. Right. Now, so the class name is student. Okay. The main function is over here from where the class will be controlled. Now, class basically has three sections. Private. Okay. You need to write down in this particular way. The way I have written. Private. Okay, public and protected. Okay, now you might have certain questions in your brain. Okay, sir, what do you mean by private? What do you mean by public? And what do you mean by protected? See, try to understand all these are access specifiers. These are access specifiers. Okay, now what do you mean by access specifiers? Access specifiers are generally used to give protection to the variables, I mean the data members or the methods that you define. Okay, as of now, I don't consider this protected. ये बाद में consider करेंगे. We will consider the protected section when we will be learning inheritance. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me write some variables over here, integer x. Okay, and I define another variable, let's say float y. Okay, these are the two variables. Now let me define some methods in the public section. I'll say void get data. Okay, void get data. Now this is a function that you have prepared, and I would say there is another function, there is another method, sorry, display. Okay, right. So here you can see there is a class. Okay, there is a private section. In private section, I have declared two particular variables. Okay, integer x and float y. Let's say I would say integer roll number. Let it be something which is in real sense roll number. Okay, and I would say this is a percentage. Okay, right. Now, how to display the values on screen? So you need to write down cout. Okay, double less than, double quotes, enter, roll number. This is the message. This is used to display. Semicolon. Cout. Okay, cout. And then cin. Okay, see, basically it shows the moment you write cin, it belongs to the I stream. Okay, and here when I have written cout, it belongs to the O stream. O stands for output, I stands for input. Okay, so cin double greater than roll number. Okay, again cout double less than, and I would say enter percentage. Okay, again cin per. Simple, straightforward, and easy. Okay, now in display, I would like to say cout. See, it's showing OF string. Double less than the roll number is, okay, double less than roll number. Okay, and percentage is double less than per. Okay, this is a display method, right? Let me just close this so things will be much more clear. Okay, now here you can see that we have defined a class. In the private, we have defined two variables of type one of type integer, another of type float. We have defined two methods and we have performed certain operations inside those methods. The two methods that we have defined is get data and display. Okay. Now, basically, I have said the program starts with the main method. Okay. Now, one thing you need to always remember, whenever you want to access any of the data member or member functions, I mean methods of a particular class, you need to create an object of that particular class. Is it clear? You need to create a object of that particular class. You cannot directly call the functions as you were calling in C, because here in object oriented programming, one particular program may have different class. Okay, and different class may have different variables of their own, may have different methods of their own. So you need to specify in the program that you are calling which particular method, and that particular method will be called using which particular class object. Okay, things are getting complicated. Let me just show you once over here. So what is the name of the class, guys, over here? What is the name of the class?
Student.
Student. Yes. So let me write down the name of the class student. Okay. And let me create its object objs. Okay. Now you might have, because sir ने student class का object बनाया है, that is the reason sir have written objs, and not necessary you can write down over here your name also, student, and the object is, let's say, Amit. But this is not at all reasonable, right? Variables should be defined in a way that looking into it I should be able to understand कि ये है क्या. So that's the reason I have said this is a objs. Okay, many people write something like this, obj underscore student. Doesn't make any difference. It is to give you more clear cut understanding that this particular object belongs to this particular class. Okay, but at the time of in writing exams, in the theory paper, it may take more amount of time, but things will be much more clear. Okay, but in programming, because of intelligence, see, look over here, right? Obj underscore student with an it gives you the option dot. This is very interesting. Look over here. Okay, what is the difference between display, get data, PER, and roll number? Can anyone tell me ये क्या difference है? What is the difference? Yes, yes. So what I think Hassan has either Hassan or the another one. I don't remember his name. What's your name? Who has answered? Yes, Syed. Yes, Syed Hashmat. Yes. So Syed has answered correctly that yes. You can see over here a little bit notation. These two are in green. Green means you can access it. Okay, it's the facility given by the code blocks. These green dots means you can access it. This red block means you cannot access it. Why you cannot access percentage and roll number over here? Because they are the private data members of the class, right? And since these are the public data members of the class, you can access it using the object of this particular class. The object of this particular class we have already created, object underscore student dot. First of all, we need to get the data, so we'll go with get data. Because it's a function, bracket start, bracket close is necessary. Okay. Then similarly, object student dot display, okay, bracket start, bracket close, necessary. Okay, so what the program will generally do is that, first of all, the program will be started from the main method. Okay, it will look for a student class. Does the student class exist? Yes, the student class exists. Okay, then it will look for the object. It will allocate the memory to the object, and using this particular object, you are calling the methods which are declared in the public section. Okay, let me just execute this program. Okay, I'll just build and run it. Okay, here is the output. Let me just insert the roll number is 7 and the percentage is suppose 85. Okay, right. Now here you can see the roll number is 7 and the percentage is 85. It is been displayed. Whatever you have answered, the same thing we have displayed. But here we need to write and we just modify it, writing an end line character, writing an end L because after writing the roll number, this should be in the second line. Okay, and the percentage is so and so. Right. Now, there might be a question in your brain that if we define the percentage over here, okay, if we define the percentage over here, can we access it using the object over here? Okay, let me check. As it gives you object student dot. Now you can see, right? These were the functions. That's the reason they are written in the round brackets. And here now it's green, means we can access it because it is in the public section. Is that clear? So whatever is there, as of now, you need to understand whatever is there in the public section, you can easily access it in the main method using which operator? Using a dot operator. Okay. Any doubts related to this particular program?
સર ઓબ્જેક્ટ વાળું નહીં સમજાયું.
Object વાળું ના સમજાય. Okay. This object student આની વાત કરી રહ્યા છો? Are you talking about this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. See, try to understand. Now, suppose I have another class. Okay. Let's say class is parents. Okay. Now this is a parent class, right? Now in parent class also I declare the public section. In parent class we have the public section, and in that I just write down over here the same method. Let's say void get data. Okay, and here I write void, or let's say void get data. Okay, now in that I simply, or I would write just to give you example, I'll write let's say display. Okay, display exists in student also. I'll write over here that this is a parent class. Okay, and this is end line character. End line means next line pe chala jata hai. Okay, it's an end line character similar to /n. Now think about it. If you are suppose not creating an object, okay, and if you call display, okay, if you're calling a function named display, so the compiler will get confused that display method is first of all not defined outside the class, so it will throw an error. The first thing. Second thing, it will get confused that the display method is there in the class student as well as display method is there in the class parent. Which particular method will be called? Okay, that's the reason in object-oriented programming, what we generally do is that we create an object of a particular class. Okay, now obj underscore student is the object of the student class. Okay, so if you write down again over here, see obj underscore student, okay, dot display, then it will again call the display method which belongs to the student class. Okay, just check it out. Throwing the semicolon is missing. The semicolon was missing. That's the reason it is throwing an error. Okay. Now see, suppose the roll number is 7 and the percentage is 89. So see what it is giving. The roll number is 7 and the percentage is 89. Again it is printing the roll number is 7 and the percentage is 89. It is not calling the method that you have defined in the parent class. So what if you want to call the method that is defined in the parent class? What you can do is that you can create an object of the parent class, obj underscore parent. Okay, so now using this particular object, you can call the display method, obj underscore parent. Okay, now right, endl I have written. Okay, let me execute this particular program. Right. So here I can write that suppose the roll number is 8, percentage is 89, and here you can see, and now the parent class method has been called. Why the parent class method has been called? Because you have used a parent class object to call its corresponding method. Tell me, now is it clear? Now is it clear? Yes. Okay, right. So you need to make one thing sure that whatever programs that you have implemented using C, the same programs can be implemented using C++, but with a concept of class. Now, I won't ask you to implement those programs in which you have created patterns and all that stuff, implement using class, but not that one. But yes, the other programs which are the lengthier ones, which where you feel that okay, there should be some concept of modularization should be implemented. We need to create different modules. Okay, it might be possible that you are learning data structures. You can implement the same programs using C++ also because the programs will be lengthier. Okay, you need to create a structure. Okay, you need to repeatedly use certain things. Okay, apart from that, one another thing that we can look over here is that see, we can also create an array of objects. You can create an array of objects. Okay, and we can implement a for loop. For I is equals to 0, I is less than 10, and I plus plus. Okay, so now what I will do is that I will use these two things inside it. Okay, now this will be I. Okay, 10 is a big value. Let me go ahead with some less value. Let's say 3. I mean 3. Okay, so this will be less than 3. Okay, the 3 times get data karega. And at the same time, what I will do is that I'll just implement the same thing for displaying. 3 times get and 3 times to display whatever you have inserted. So you can create array of the objects, and it will be much more feasible that you should not be adding more variables to it rather than you can use the existing ones. Okay, right. Let me just execute it. This window is already open. I need to close it first. And yes, just execute it once again. Okay, I forgot to mention I. Yes. Okay, here you can see, let's say the roll number is 1 and the percentage is 45, 2 and the percentage is 55, 3 and the percentage is 65. Okay, yes, and it is getting executed. There are some formatting issues are there, but that we can look into it. So it's very easy to create an object, to create an array of the objects, and to utilize that object every now and then. One thing you need to make it sure, every object has its own identity. So here the object of 0 will have its own values of roll number and percentage. Object underscore student of 1 will have its own copy of roll number and percentage. 2 have its own copy of roll number and percentage. I mean the data members and the member functions. So programs using this particular fundamental will be quite less lengthy, easy to understand, and it will also increase the flexibility. Okay, so what today you are going to do is that download code blocks. Okay, the nodes are already shared into your drive, right? Start implementing some programs which are class based, or try to do certain programs which we have already done in C and they were lengthier ones, and try to implement it using the concept of the class. And if you're facing any doubts, you can just let me know by taking on the screenshots and sending me on the Telegram. Okay, we'll give you the solutions out of it. Okay, but yes, start learning. Okay, so we'll end up the session over here and we'll meet in the upcoming sessions. Before that, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts regarding whatever we have done in the today's session? No doubts? Okay. All right. No. Fine. So we'll end up the session. Okay. And we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, take care and keep learning. Bye.